called Moses to lead the enslaved Israelites out of captivity, Moses did not lead alone. He set leaders over thousands, hundreds, and tens like you to lead, to mentor, and to discern the wisdom of God for them in solving the problems of their day. If Trump is our Moses, you people, you Catholics, are those leaders. You need to be the tip of his spear. Where are our church leaders now? Where are our good church leaders? They are canceled, they are laicized, they are silenced, and they are banished. Jesus says, yes, Father Altman, Jesus says you shall know them by their fruits. And unless you are holier than the Pharisees, you shall never enter the kingdom of heaven. Hauzin opia boy, kuma bezdahi, shamreini mereshe bersher talimolai. Akakasaya nashya dera, akakisit. Taktik apa kulit kehon an kehon kosi edeni. Aken lakiswa, lehweleti lakiswa. Ilati lukomer he mahaki hida. Ite hibo denale dena fakavel dena ahbif lukomer ton hiti hibo lukom. Ito way art. Question. I am the way, the truth, and the life. But you call me way. But you call me way. You walk me not. You call me truth. You believe me not. You call me light. You see me not. If I depart from you, lay me not. Do you know whose feast day this is? St. Joseph, isn't it? I guess you could say that being the father of Jesus, that you would have to be a good father and very holy. There are those that would say that our Father is neither. Listen to me very closely. There are those that would say that our Father is neither holy nor a good father. For what good father, when you ask for a loaf of bread, gives you a snake? You shall know them by their fruits. But Pope John Paul II was both. He was very holy, and he was a good father. For all of his 26 years as Pope, St. John Paul II served the people of God tirelessly from the grace of his holy and sainted life. One of his greatest gifts to us is the Catechism of the Catholic Church. He knew how important it was going to be for the laity, the Catholic laity, to know their faith. Especially now when we cannot depend on our own priests, our bishops, and even our Pope. For in our country today, ladies and gentlemen, we are only too happy to go with the flow. We have enshrined a freedom now where all choices are equal, no matter what the consequences are. Do you think this is true freedom? Pope John Paul II had this to say in Baltimore in 1995, America, your democracy cannot be sustained without a shared commitment to certain moral truths about the human person and the human community. The basic question before a democratic society is this: how ought we to live together? Seeking an answer to this question, can society exclude moral truth and moral reasoning? Do not be afraid. Do not be satisfied with mediocrity. Put out into the heat. Let down your net for a catch. Everybody who does wrong hates the light, for fear that his actions may be exposed. not a man who believes in truth comes out into the light, so that it may be plainly seen that what is done in God. Saint Maximilian Kolbe is good. You know, I got to read Pope John Paul. What have you done? What have you learned in playing Jesus Christ? Yeah, well, Holy Father, he didn't leave home until he was 30. Wait, how does that go? Oh, I said this. She broke her plate, broke my concentration. I said, what do you learn in playing Jesus Christ? And I said, well, I've been in Italy. Yes. And, you know, the Italians are pretty cool. Yes. I said, we filmed in Cinecittà. Yes. And I said, I think Jesus was Italian. He says, what? He said, yeah, he didn't leave home until he was 30. Yeah. And he always hung out with the same 12 guys. And his mother believed he was God. He had to be Italian. How many of you know who Saint Maximilian Kolbe was? Those of you who don't know, he was a great saint of Auschwitz, and he exchanged his life for a fellow Jewish prisoner. And saving him, he saved generations of this man's family. Look him up, he's quite brilliant. The Virgin Mary appeared to him. And she offered him 2 crowns, a white crown and a red crown. Both symbolize martyrdom. The white one was martyrdom, and they speak ill of you like Tim, myself, President Trump. And the red martyrdom, which means your life, President Trump. That's right. People want him dead, but they're going to get it. Good. Maximilian Kolbe took both of those crowns. And he went through horrible pain and suffering from the Nazis, and also he suffered tremendously from his own brothers in the church who were jealous of him. But he would say that it is impossible, as is stated at this Masonic procession passing by, that our enemies should make such a display of force in order to defeat us, while we fold our hands on our laps and do nothing. After all, do we not have much more powerful weapons? Can we not count on all of them, and especially on the Immaculata of the Virgin Mary? He is also quoted as saying that indifference is the greatest sin of the 20th century. Well, my friends, it is proving to be the greatest sin of the 21st century as well. We must shake off this indifference, this destructive tolerance of evil. But only our faith and the wisdom of our mighty church can save us. But it's going to require men and women, warriors like you, ready to risk your reputations, your good names, even your very lives to stand for the truth. Moses was a great prophet and a liberator of God's beloved people. But in the end, he did not enter the promised land, but died at its very border. Perhaps that we can help Donald Trump, prophet and the liberator in his own right, to re-enter this land of promise he led so well for 4 years, then had abruptly taken from his hands by hook and or crook. He has so much more to do. With our help as Catholics, he might yet cross the river again and lead us to the better future that he has envisioned, that our founding fathers had envisioned, and that we have forgotten as Americans. As Americans, it is time for us to stop wandering in the desert as slaves and take back our God-given rights our inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But you know the thing, right? You know the thing. You know the thing, right? There's a reason why I came in that order. Because without your life, you have no liberty. Without your life, you'll have no happiness. You know, thinking of we the people, a great man who's not too shabby next to Trump, Ronald Reagan, said, "From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule. That government by an elite group is superior than government for by and of the people. We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around. And this makes us real special amongst the nations of this earth. See, our government has no power except that granted by its people. It's made up of men and women who raise our food, patrol our streets, man our mines and factories, teach our children, keep our homes, heal us when we're sick. Professionals, industrialists, shopkeepers, clerks, caddies, and truck drivers. They are, in short, we the people. Their patriotism runs quiet, deep. Their values sustain our national life. No weapon in the arsenals of this world is more formidable than the will and moral courage of its free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. I believe that we, the Americans of today, are ready to act worthy of ourselves, ready to do what must be done to ensure happiness and liberty for ourselves, our children, and our children's children. We are a nation under God, and I believe God intended for us to be free. Freedom is the highest aspiration of the American people. Yes, the price has been high, but we've never been unwilling to pay that price. We shall negotiate for it, sacrifice for it, but we shall never, ever surrender for it now or ever, so help me God. There is not a man alive who carelessly sent another person's son there. And that is the real issue with this campaign that makes all of the problems I discuss academic. Unless we realize that we're in a war that must be won. Those of us who trade our freedoms for the soup kitchen or the welfare state have told us that they have a utopian solution of peace without victory. They call their policy accommodation. And they say if we only avoid any direct confrontation with this enemy, he'll forget his evil ways and learn to love us. All those who oppose him are indicted as warmongers. They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. And yet they have the nerve to call a choice. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but a simple one. That you and I would have the courage to tell our elected officials that we want our national policy based on what we know in our hearts is morally right. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot buy our security of one nation under God. Our freedoms of Christ our Savior from the threat of the devil any longer. By committing an act of immorality so great as saying to millions and millions of little children now caught behind the iron curtain of sex trafficking and abortion, give up your dreams of freedom now. Because in order to save our own skins, we're just too willing to make a deal with your slave masters. And Alexander Hamilton said that any nation which can prefer disgrace to danger is prepared for a master. It deserves one. Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this. But every lesson in history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning Christian liberal friends refuse to face. That's right, our priests, our pastors, our bishops, and sadly now even our Pope. That his policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives us no choice between peace and war, only between fight and surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we will have to face the final demand. The final ultimatum, and what then? When Satan has told his own, he knows what our answer is going to be. He's told them that we're retreating under the pressure of his Cold War, and someday when the time is right, to deliver his final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary. Because you see, by then we will have been so weakened from within, spiritually, morally, economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices.
pleading for peace at any price. Well, better red than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees with his mask on than die at his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, well, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard around the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our beloved dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis did not die in vain. Where then lies the road to peace, you say? Well, it's a simple answer after all. That you and I have the courage to tell our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which evil must not advance. You and I have rendezvous with destiny. My fellow Catholics, you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, and we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. We're at war now with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose this war, and in so doing lose this great way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those of us that had the most to lose did the least to prevent it from happening. And I think it's high time now we ask ourselves if we still even know the freedoms that were intended for us by our founding fathers. Every generation of Americans needs to know that freedom exists not to do what you like, but having the right to do what you ought.